Okay, I'm recording. Just give me a minute to finish writing down the things.
And also making their string answers for 8th graders.
What grade are we on?
What grade is it?
That was 8th grade work.
No, what grade is it?
Oh, not
I'm
sure.
picking on you. I said you were a very advanced kindergartner.
Yeah, you were very
Yeah,
I've done a 15-page research paper on this.
I remember you telling me this. Beautiful work too. Wait, Joe, did you say how old they are?
7th grade.
I didn't. I was going to
Okay, and
Are we ready?
I am ready. Oh, sorry, Vincent.
Oh, that's funny.
Alright. Good.
Let's see. Can I test the sound real fast?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. So you're not talking?
Yep.
It's good. Okay, so good morning, 7th graders.
Good morning.
Thank you. So today, this is part of a larger unit on a connection with history and art, where we will be doing music lessons called A Trip Around Europe, where we do all sorts of music, art, history, architecture, all sorts of different things that we talk about that all have to do with different countries in Europe. And what we're connecting today is art and music, showing you different examples of how art has changed and music has changed along with it. Now, the first thing I'd like you to do is I have a little sheet. Take a look at the painting here on your right. And this painting is called the Westminster Bridge. This painting is, oh, I'm sorry. Here you are. This painting was painted by Giovanni Antonio Canal, also known as Canali, because you think of a lot of canals, sort of a nickname for him. It was painted in 1746, and it depicts a bridge that goes over the River Thames in London. Something that's very important, this bridge is called, or this whole painting is called Westminster Bridge, London, with the Lord Mayor's procession on the Thames. You can see this large boat right here that I'm circling. That is the Royal Barge. So something to pay attention to in this style of art, how there are a lot of things that are balanced. This is depicted as very artistically accurate. Notice how the rule of thirds applies here. Does anyone know what the rule of thirds is in art? Does anyone know what the rule of thirds is, Haley?
It breaks the picture into thirds in a bunch of different ways. You can do horizontally, you can do foreground, midground, background.
Absolutely, excellent, very advanced. Dimitri, you have something else to say?
Is it like horizontal because you have the sky, the bridge, and the boats?
Correct. If you go horizontal, if you split it into thirds, think of it divided third ways. This would be bridge, water, sky, would be thirds. If you go vertically, you can see the left side of the bank here, the river in the middle, and the right side of the bank here. There's a lot of different divides that can happen. So, what's something you really can see? If you look at question number 1 on your sheet, and if you're, also doing an evaluation, that's okay. Take your time. What sticks out to you in this picture? Go ahead, man.
I don't know why, I noticed a lot of boats and stuff on the water, but the Royal Barge.
It's quite nice.
It's not looking at. Yeah, it's so good.
Go ahead.
The bridge is really long.
The bridge is. That's an excellent observation. Go ahead, Mitchell.
I like the town on the right side.
Town on the right side. A lot of neat buildings over there. Go ahead, Lisa.
That looks
It does look curved, doesn't it? It's kind of a neat observation. Anything else anyone would like to add before we move on? Go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say, it's around the time of when Industrial Revolution was big in Europe, so you see some buildings really starting to come up more on the right side as opposed to across the bridge.
That's a good excellent observation. I appreciate that very much. Now, what we're going to listen to now is a piece of music that is very similar, reminiscent of this very painting. If you take a look here at this picture, this is a painting by Edouard Hamann in 1819. This depicts George Frederick Handel and King George I on the Thames River. Now, what about this boat do you notice?
It looks like that big boat.
It does look like a big boat on that picture because it is. So this piece was premiered in 1717 because the king commissioned, what does commission mean? Does it mean commission kings and music? Go ahead, Nick.
Just paid to.
He was paid to write a piece of music about boats on the water. If you'd like to, you can turn to the next page and see if you can answer any more questions here. Take yourself, give yourself a little 30, 60 seconds to see if you can answer any more of those questions. On the second page, you've got more of these. So in the interest of time, let's skip over these individual responses, and we're going to move on to the bottom. Because, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to do that one. I lied. Go back to the first page of your packet, please, if you could. Or your handout. Now, what we're going to look at next is a new era. What we just looked at before was the Baroque era, where everything was meant to be very structured. The rules were just so. Everything was very done by the book. Everything was very exact. And this art movement, known as Impressionism, did the absolute opposite. Impressionism in art was used to sort of get rid of all the rules and do whatever people wanted to do. Anybody tell me a couple common themes that they see here in these three paintings? Go ahead.
More pastel colors and the figures aren't as defined, they're a little more blurry.
They are a little more blurry. Excellent. Nick?
I felt like the other paintings kind of look like a picture. These don't look like pictures anymore. They're very, like, you know what it is, but you at the same time, it's not as clear and precise as other ones were.
Are you saying you can like tell it's a painting, sort of?
Yeah.
As opposed to a very accurate depiction?
Yeah, that looks more to me like if they had cameras, that looks more like a picture.
Excellent observation. Anybody else? Any comments? That's all right. Well, something that was very prominent, you can see a lot of themes in here. There's a lot of focus on nature and beauty and emotion. And when I say juxtapose colors, what do you think juxtapose means? Does anybody know what that means, Dimitri?
Is it when like you have two things that are very opposites?
Yes. Juxtapose is when you take two things that are very different and you put them next to each other, in order to further emphasize their differences. If you see someone who's maybe 5 feet tall, you say, oh, he or she is kind of short. And you see someone who's 6 feet tall, and you say, oh, he or she is kind of tall. You put them right next to each other, the short person seems extra short, and the tall person seems extra tall. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we use these two very different things at the same time to contrast and make a strong definition of line. They also went against traditional technique. Like I said, there was some very visible brush strokes, like you can see in the bottom here. This piece is actually called Impressionism. So this is where the art movement got its name. So what I'd like to do is take a look at these three paintings. These are the water lilies, the Nymphaea in French, as painted by Claude Monet. They're actually a set of over 250 different paintings that are all over the world. However, the largest collection is in this museum in Paris, which I hope we can go to. So, when Claude Monet, was retiring, he lived in this beautiful house right next to a garden that had all these water lilies in the little pond. So he took all these different paintings and painted them at different times of the day, which is why you can see different colors, different brightnesses, different moods and themes. So tell me, what sticks out to you when you see water lilies? I'll give you a little bit to write some answers down. This is at the bottom of the first page of the handout.
Are there 3 different paintings?
These are 3 different paintings of a set.
Okay.
So there's over 250 paintings in the set, but these are 3 of the more famous ones in the set. They're all super long and panoramic.
Yeah, they're huge.
They are. Anyone like to share anything they wrote down about water lilies? Go ahead, Lisa.
It's the impressionist kind of art.
It is definitely. What is impressionist about it to you?
It's got this blurry factor to it, and it's not symmetrical or split into thirds as much. Like the clouds may be a bit, but the rest of them not so much.
Excellent. Go ahead and get some little thirds. Go ahead, Nick.
I said that there was like a lot more use of like cool and warm colors, and they're all kind of interspersed with each other.
I like that very much. How about Guy and Laura? I hear from you guys. Go ahead, Laura.
I mean, Twilight has more color in it, and then as you move up, there seems to be like less defined, like less obvious shapes and different things.
Very nice. What about you, Guy?
Literally what I was thinking was there's no outlines of anything. Everything goes into each other. So the sky's a part of the cottage and part of the tree.
Very nice. Anybody else? Excellent. So we're going to hear another piece of music. This time, it will be from the Impressionist era of music. So just like the water music was the same era as the Westminster Bridge picture, we are now going to listen to a piece of music just from the Impressionist era of music. Now what you'll hear is very similar things. Like you hear in water lilies, things are very exact, things are very by the book, as Samuel proposed. Here we see a picture of Claude Debussy, and a lot of these ideas that were in the art of Paris and in the art of Impressionist movement happen in music as well. They went against the rules. There's a lot of different chord structures. So let's take a listen to La Mer, which is French for the sea. If you'd like, on the last page, you can write down some of your responses. ladies and this group over here. What we'll do is I would like you to, rather than do a formal writing prompt, I'd like you to brainstorm some ideas of how you can answer the 2 questions on our sheet. The first question is creating color in music. If you'd like, you can just write down your own ideas on the bottom of your sheet while sharing with your group. And you can make a little circle if you don't mind. You can turn your chairs around and whatever you like to do. The first question is at the bottom of page 2, and the next question is at the bottom of page 3. So with your group in the next 5 minutes, you can discuss those 2, and we'll talk about some responses. First question is at the bottom of page 2, creating color in music. Write down which ways, the ways we think a composer can create color through contrast in music. Go ahead and start. And we'll worry about it.
Bottom page 2.
So feel free to discuss this aloud with your groups and write down whatever ideas you have or other group members might have. That's you.
So color are different feelings, so how the music just like
How fast we go.
So
I was looking at this guy's time, I feel like pictures and all like that was really common.
High, low.
So emotions have a color association, right? So if the music like invokes different emotions, then it'll invoke different colors and that's how that can.
Actually, this is you're saying like how those.
Right then, anything at all come to mind? No right or wrong answers, don't worry.
Oh, yes.
Too bright.
Oh, wait, hammer.
Well, from there, it's about what? And,
Orchestration, unusual combinations of instruments, so if you have a
So-
split, like xylophones, create color.
there's two parts. Part flow that is not flowing you feel that is associated with water. So that obviously
And also this is whole term.
yes.
I know that's not a great time.
I guess so you could put like
D-I-H-G-R.
scalar or little tonalities.
It's the same as like the chemistry degree.
It is.
How old is this
No,
for?
no, 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 no,
Like 7 minutes back.
yeah. Let's compare what's Mr. Rich to water lilies, water music to a man.
And it's programmatic music, so it's like music for music's sake. And so like the contrast.
Would you mind writing down your final thought and then flipping over to the last question, please? You will see the last question on the bottom of page 3. And please ignore the last part of it. I'd just like you to compare and contrast the 2 paintings we saw, the Westminster Bridge and the Water Lilies, and compare and contrast water music and love maker.
The songs are both about water music.
It doesn't need to be terribly formal, just write down some ideas.
No, one photo was in it. But like overall versus
No.
So like the first one followed a 4. So I could tell you and the second one was
That's okay.
So it's like how there's outlines in the Westminster to be able to take out any lines. So
Yeah, that's what I was
Right.
Yeah, the color of the music,
Okay, so let's talk about the first question. Would you flip back to the second page? The first question is about how to create color in music. Who has some nice ideas they'd like to share? Go ahead, Nick, please.
Loud and soft.
Loud and soft is a great way to create color. Anybody else, please? Whatever you have.
Timbre of an instrument.
Timbre, very nice. Jenna?
We've got orchestration, unusual combinations of instruments, scalar modal tonalities, change in dynamics, use of vibrato, and the hardness of articulation.
Lots of good ideas. Really
Wow.
brought it right out there, didn't you? Lay down the
Fast or
law.
slow?
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
Keys.
Different keys.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I said different keys.
All right.
I said different
Tell my
keys.
life.
And in the last section, what could we compare and find in common with the Westminster Bridge and the Water Lilies paintings? Go ahead,
So
Lisa.
we mentioned in the Westminster Bridge there were outlines, and Washington there weren't any outlines.
Okay.
That's a little piece.
Thank you.
And one had sharp edges and one closed it.
Good.
Jenny, you was my seventh grader ever. I wasn't even thinking that way.
Does anybody want to need this?
Guy, do you need it?
No, guys, you know what it is.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but once you know things, you can't go back.
I'm trying really hard to. Think of people. Oh, look at that. He's cool with pencils. This is why. The final joke.
You don't have to keep that. You can just go back.
I think I did that TA evaluation.
Do you want us to say in your podcast?
Can we make him frown?
Yes.
Guy, do you want
Can you see a crowd of water at least?
No.
I would love it. No, this is good.
Sorry? Oh, my phone.
Do you want your peg?